हजारों इवेंट्स ऑर्गेनाइज करते हैं। इन इवेंट्स से हमारी सभ्यता और संस्कृति वहां पहुंचती है जहां हमारा भविष्य है, हमारा फ्यूचर है, हमारा यूथ। फिल्म, थिएटर, म्यूजिक, डांस फॉर्म्स, फोक आर्ट और इन जैसे और माध्यमों से हम लाखों लोगों तक अपनी हजारों साल की विरासत को पहुंचा पाते हैं। वो विरासत जो सिर्फ हमारी है, वो विरासत जिसको बचाना या जाने देना सिर्फ हमारे हाथ में है। वो विरासत जिसको आज हमारी जरूरत है।
Hello, is Kiran there? All right, okay. Should we start? Okay. Good evening, namaskar, pranam to everybody who is watching live on SPICMACAY's YouTube channel from all over the world. My name is Charu Sanan, and on behalf of SPICMACAY, I welcome all on board. Today, we are honored and privileged to have a very versatile and a dynamic theater actor and director from the film and theater world, Mr. M.K. Raina. M.K. Raina is a well-known theater luminary who has been working in the field of the theater for the last 4 decades, innovating, studying, analyzing, writing, and teaching. He has worked extensively in both contemporary and traditional theater in South Asia and has been instrumental in reviving the traditional folk theater of Kashmir, the Bhand Pathir. He has been on the visiting faculty of several national and international institutions such as the National School of Drama, the Central University of Hyderabad, the Indian Institute of Technology, Hyderabad, Indian Institute of Technology, Bhilai, the University of Hawaii, USA, etc. He has been a fellow at the Stanford University, USA, and a scholar in residence at the Jamia Millia Central University, New Delhi. Apart from teaching theater, he has also been involved in the academics of theater, and in this connection has presented several papers and seminars, both national and international. He is a well-known social and cultural activist and is a founder member of Sehmat, a trust formed to promote communal harmony and social equality. He is also a trustee of the South Asian Foundation India and artistic director of the theater group Prayog. He has also made documentaries and films for various national institutions and for national channels. For his long-term contribution to theater, he has been the recipient of several awards, including the Sangeet Natak Academy Award, the Sahit Kala Parishad Samman, the Sanskrit Theatre Award, and the B.V. Kamath Lifetime Achievement Award. Welcome, sir, on board on SPICMACAY's YouTube live channel, and over to you, sir. So you have to unmute yourself. Hemant, can you guide him, please? I think he can. He can't understand. You got to explain it to him. So you join again, and as you join, you click on the mic and the pictures. Yeah, yeah. Okay, sir. Yeah. Yeah, I've told him. I just called him and.
Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you, sir.
Hello, hello.
Hello, good evening, sir. Welcome to SPICMACAY.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can hear you. How are you doing? Are you there? Like you say, don't you say, are you there?
Okay.
Okay, so over to you now, sir, and we can start the talk on theatre and education and society.
Well, you see, it's a very vast area. It's very vast area. And if you look at the Indian theatre only, and the Western theatre, the Japanese theatre, right from thousands of years, it's a very complex history of each country. Let's start with the India first. There's a popular story about Indian theatre that we always have this divine origins. Everything came from the gods, and that is that in Swarg there were these devatas there, and they wanted to. They had nothing to do there. They were privileged people, and they had nothing to do there. So I went to Brahma and said, "We got bored here. What should we do with ourselves?" And he gave it a thought. I'm talking in a very short form. Thought, and there was this sage called Bharata, who had 100 says you can do so. So he got his sons together, and they did a story and presented it one day into the Swarga. And the story was really about the Devatas, what they were doing all their lives, what were they doing there, and there was nothing for them to do. And Devatas got very upset about this critique of their stories, and they got up and they ransacked the whole place. And they went to Brahma. He said, "Look, these guys have done something very strange to us. This happened, that happened." Bharata comes also to there and tells him that, "Look, I did what is material for me. What is there for me is the material, is what I see all around it." That then Brahma says, "Okay, now let me define theatre for you people." So he got from the four Vedas. That's the popular story. From the four Vedas, from each Veda, he got one portion from song, got from dance, from ritual, and got them together and created a fourth Veda, which is called the Natya Veda. The Natya Veda, he gave them one condition that this Veda is not only for one caste. This is for all. So, which meant that it was beyond the four Vedas, which were, to be read only by the Brahmins and Kshatriyas. He had created a Veda which is for everybody. Now, from there, he created another play. Again, there was a problem with the play, and finally, there is this story that it became so impossible for the Devatas and the Swarg to keep these 100 actors and actresses there. So they were packed up to Prithvi, that to earth, and that was the top of. And when that happened, that's where we all come in, theatre people. We are the children who have been thrown out out, discarded from the Sarga. So there's no place for us in Sarga. Now, this is a mythological story. But what is very important is the what Nati Veda is. It is a fantastic book on performance, theories, and practices. It's in English. You can get it in Hindi also. I'm sure it is in the vernacular languages in Marathi and Gujarati and Bengali, the translations of it. I have read few versions of it, and it has chapters on theatre architecture. It has chapters on acting. It has chapters on music. It has chapters on environment and all kinds of things. Now, out of that, if I look at only this, I don't take the music, I don't take the dance part of it, I only take what is irrelevant to me, is that when he created this, not whether this architecture chapter, he has given three kinds of theatres there. One is square, which is 64 by 60 hastas. They say hasta means from this elbow to this is one hasta. So 64 by 64 hasta. And then rectangular theatre, which was 64 and 32 dimensions. And third is, which is 32, 32 and 32, which is a triangular theatre. Those we had square theatre, we had a rectangular theatre, and we had triangular theatre. Now, each theatre with its dimensions will be used for a specific kind of a play. And which meant if it is Shakuntalam, it will go to the bigger theatre, Kalidas's play. Now, if it is a Bhana play, which is a 2 actors, 3 actors, it will go to triangular theatre. And now the most important and the amazing aspect of this architectural division of this place is that out of 64, 32 would be given to stage area. Only 32 would remain for the auditorium, which you don't see today. All architects in India particularly, I won't say the West, they will give very minimal space for the performance area. Most of the area will be for the spectators, where people will sit. There'll be lovely seats, chandeliers, carpets, everything. But to my experience of 40 years, believe me, I have not seen a single theatre where I felt very excited to perform. I had always got to compromise, because it is space which they provide us is so handicapped. And all the time we are making adjustments and compromises. When we have to put up the sets, we have to do our lights, there is no space, for example, in this theatre. Which meant the theatre that you see in Mascot Theatre today, you see in Deutsches Theatre, Berlin Ensemble, it is huge space is left for the stage. And that is a principle which has come from Natisha. I was surprised to realize this. That the same principle which now Mascot Theatre is used, half piece of the land goes to auditorium, only half goes to stage making, is from the Natya Shastra itself. How, I don't know. Now see, this is the definition which has a divine origin, and then there are Sanskrit plays which were written. Even today you are discovering new Sanskrit. We had lost most of it. As your film also said, SPICMACAY film, that we are losing a lot of our tradition of our past. The fact means that we never knew till 100 years back there was a playwright like Bhasa. It was just by accident found in South India, in the Bhojpatra, of 14 small play. Prahasa means a small play. And he was before Kalidasa. So we don't have a huge body of plays, but we have mentions of this in some play or the other, in some commentary or the other, about the existence of the text. Now, this is a Sanskrit area. My theory, the Sanskrit theatre had a patronage. It had kings patronizing it. A lot of kings were writing plays, like Harsha of Kashmir used to write plays himself, and they will be always in for the privilege. It was only for the Brahmins and Kshatriyas. Vaishya and Shudras will not enter that stage. It was there for a very. But it doesn't mean that for the rest of the people in the subcontinent, there will be no entertainment or plays. There will be. And on the same principles, on the same uh, uh, techniques or whatever is given in instruction of the Natya Shastra, a people's theatre has also emerged in India. It's also thousands of years old, which you see, what we broadly call it folk theatre of India, which is, and amazing thing is, where the Sanskrit theatre, over the years, as the politics changed, as the kingship changed, as the kingdoms disappeared and appeared, it got little bit diminished. What is left of it today is the Kuriyatam, where still in Kerala, the Chakyas are performing these plays, Sanskrit plays, along with the Malayali plays, in a Guruvayu temple and in many temples, big temples, beautiful temples in South India, particularly in Kerala. You see this Kuttampalam. They call it Kuttampalam, which is a theatre building next to the temple in the same premises of the temple. You see Vatakanata temple in Trichur, you go, it's an amazing space, and you see the stage there. It has all the dimensions what Bharata talks about, the theatres of the theatre architecture. It has Rangashish, Rangapir, upstage, downstage, all divisions of the stage done in the way Natya Shastra says. One point, there was no theatre setting. There was no what we call the art of decoration, sets. What was beautiful about this place, and is still great about this place, is that spaces, empty space, with one level up and little bit down, 1.5 feet up stage, and lower 1.5 feet another stage. This is all. These 2 levels are there, just 2 levels there, and 2 doors. And in that, they could create Kalidas Shakuntalam, Bhasas, all plays of Mahabharata, Ramayana, and all the plays you can imagine. How do they achieve it? It was through achieving it through the great training of the actors. You should understand, an Asian actor and an Indian actor particularly is a total actor. He is a musician, he is a dialogue he can give, he dances, he's an acrobat, he's a clown, he's a craft maker, and he can play instruments. So that is, now it is in the international world, we call it is a total actor means this. And this actor is only found in Asia. On the lighter note, I'll tell you, we had done Macbeth in National School of Drama, in which B.V. Karant had used music, dance, all these elements of what we see in our traditional theatre. And when the British experts came to watch this play, they have to say, yes, we want this play there. They refused to take this play. The simple reason they said was, we can't see Macbeth like this. He's dancing and singing and all kinds of things. And we have equity problem, which means that they have a division of actors. Speaking actor is different, dance actor is different, musical actor is different. And these unions will not allow us to get this play in England. So this is a very interesting observation for us. But like when I do play, so I act in a folk play. I'm supposed to dance, I'm supposed to act, I'm supposed to do everything. So that was what Natya Shastra has also been taught. Now, when you see in this, going back to the temple theatre now, it has remained in Guruvayu and few other temples in Kerala and little bit in Assam, some their version of it. But both these versions have a regional flavors. That's you have to understand. We always use this term called unity in diversity. When you sort of scratch a bit, you understand diversity is that each area of India, each landscape of India gives it its own interpretation, gives its own local color and local instruments and local costumes and local texts. And that's why you have to do 200 Ramayans. It's not, the story varies also. So it's not one Ramayana, there are 200 Ramayana. This is the inbuilt thing in the Indian tradition that you see there. Now, temple thing finished there with these temples, and hardly Chakyas once in a year, and the Guruvai temple has its festival, these plays will be done. It's a very limited auditorium, hardly 80 people can get into that auditorium. But in some other temple, like Patakana temple, there is a little bit more capacity. Now the other tradition, which was what I call the people's tradition, which is the folk tradition, which is the tribal tradition, which is an open air. Theatre being done in the open air with thousands of people watching it. Naturally, its form will differ. Form is what you call the shape of the thing. The form is, actually, the art is very form. Form is, jisko hum kehte hain roop, what you call a roop. My form is this, and the animal's form is different, and the plant form is different. Similarly, in each folk theatre, the crazy, brilliant thing in India is right from Kashmir to Kerala, from Gujarat to Manipur, we all have different schools of traditional drama. When I say schools, they literally are different from each other in many ways. But there is this strange this cord between the commonality between the two, which links us somewhere to the Natya Shastra, roots of the Natya Shastra. This umbilical cord is there, but otherwise things are different. Now, each place in India, its own drama school. It is not one national school of drama. There is Kashmir has a Bhandpatra National School of Drama. You come to Punjab, it is Khayal. You come to Rajasthan, it is Nakal, and it is Bhawai. You come to Madhya Pradesh, it is March. You come to Uttar Pradesh, it is Nautanki. You come to Gujarat, it is Bhawai. You come to Karnataka, it is Yakshigan. You go to Tamil Nadu, Terrakoto, and so on. Each one has a name. It has its own repertoire of plays. The text of the plays is there, and the way they do it, it differs from each other. The material they use mostly, broadly you can say, is Mahabharata stories, then Ramayana stories, then folk stories, or the stories of legends and valor stories are there. Now these two branches, when we move forward, and we had in between came the period of the company theatre in India, which was a professional theatre. There was a producer, and we created this imitation of the Elizabethan kind of theatre in India, which was imitation of Shakespearean plays and a lot of Western plays. And there were companies in Gujarat, there was a company in Maharashtra, there were companies in South India, and they will travel. And in North, there were these companies who will come, they were called Parsi companies. But that theatre was highly, highly influenced, very strange cocktail of the Western model as well as the Indian model of the folk and classical. What does that mean? Meaning that if you see the Western plays, they hardly have songs. They never dance in between. But when you see these plays, the company plays, you will see it having songs, comic interludes, main story, sub-story. It was a structure which was based on the Western model of playwriting, while there is a model of Indian model of playwriting. What does that mean? Indian play of model writing, which comes from Natya Shastra down, you come to Kalidas, Bhas, Bhavabhuti, and all these great authors. What you see in Indian music also, or in folk theatre also, is while there is a map of doing a play, there's a structure, there is a form. But within that structure and form, there are spaces which are left for improvisations. That depends on the skill and the genius of the actor, how much he will improvise. And that is his area of improvisation. Where in the West, like in Western music, they can't change it. Once it is done, it is it is to be done exactly like that the second show. When you see Western musicians, it's written. Everything is written, and when they're playing, they don't look at the audience. For the Indian musician, you will see, he looks at the audience. We say, wah, wah, he enjoys it also, acknowledges it, then goes into the playback. But what happens in the Western structure, it is codified, highly codified, and element of improvisation is much, much less, because I experienced it by doing Western plays myself also and doing Indian plays. I feel so free when I have to do Indian forms. And when I work with the Indian actors in the folk theatre. Now, I worked very much with the folk actors in India. I'll give you one example of that, and that is Kashmir, for example. Kashmir has this beautiful folk form called Bhant Pathal, which is, and the lovely part of it is, most of these actors that has remained with us is in this subaltern, lower caste people who have preserved these forms for us. They have preserved craft for us. They have preserved instruments for us. And they practice it themselves. Now you will see most of them are uneducated. They can't read and write, but they can sing, they can act. It's a phenomenal power of memory they have. Most of the time, they don't have a written script. It is just on the power of the memory and the roles they've been doing for over the years, and being trained, now trained into their own specific folk forms. Now, when I said these are all National School of Dramas in India, in each state, what I meant, each form has its own methodology of training, methodology of teaching music, methodology of teaching you acrobatics, teaching you mask making. It's completely trained, and it is from father to son to grandson, and it almost comes into the systems. These are families or a little bit of castes and subcastes who are dedicated to a certain kind of an art. Like when you go to, say, to any village, say Gujarat, I recently went to Ran up Kutch, and I went to these villages there. Each village had a tremendous craft of, some people were making just these copper bells. And that village was only doing that. That was the traditional profession, and they will do that also. There are castes in each. Potters are different. Then you have painters. Then you have some making folk paintings, some making folk forms, which means animals and various objects. And this is the tradition which is not mostly in the schools of dramas anywhere in India. So what we do after doing National School of Drama, I particularly, my example, and a few of us, we forgot what we had learned. Honestly, we went with our rucksacks and went to the villages. We had learned a little bit, I would say, but what was India all about? What was India's culture? What was India's tradition? What was India's entire thing was mystery to us, to be honest. We didn't understand. We couldn't decode most of the things, how they use their choreography. Why does this actor go from this part to that part? And in this case, when I said the improvisation, they go berserk with the improvisations. They will get onto, one actor will be on the ground in the open air, another actor will be on the tree, and another actor may go to the village house. And the space they charge is complete in a different angles and dimensions you are watching it, which is not possible in a closed theatre. So this kind of a freedom, but this kind of a challenge also. Every actor cannot do it. He cannot use his imagination. But these are remarkable families, a great tribal. They have great pride in preserving their art. But economically, if you look at them, they are very weak. Most of them, as I said, are the people from the lower caste. Therefore, they live outside the village. They were separate kind of their own village. They are not in the hierarchy of the villages. They are the outside of the village. But for us, the people in theatre who have been thrown out of so long back, these are our people, these are our masters, these are our gurus. And the tragedy for us is, I may go myself with my resources and learn there. And it is not in the books. It cannot be written in the books much. You have to spend time with each family or each form and get trained and trained and trained. But we are contemporary theatre people. We are modern theatre people. We cannot ignore the change. If we look at their forms, they look also dated. On one side, I have a great romance of their art, of their quality of work, but at the same time, unfortunate is that they lost their gurus, they lost their directors, we say, their playwrights. They have not moved with time. It is like a beautiful, beautiful object which needs to be explored more and with time, and making it more relevant today, using all these techniques, using all their sciences, and creating forms, same forms for the today's audiences. And that is why the modern theatre person like me, or many of us who go and work in villages and learn, give and learn, spend months with them till they accept you and you accept them. Then the relationship grows in between the two. Then we create pieces in modern theatre. Like I'll give an example. In Kashmir, the conflict area, and I went from 2000 back onwards. And there, things were very bad. They left doing theatre because they were dictators of the terrorists and the militants that it is un-Islamic, you can't do theatre. They were beaten up, their instruments were broken, their costumes were thrown up. They went through what you call really an attack on the culture, what you call, sense that this culture is irrelevant to them. And I had to start really from scratch in 2000, from one workshop to another workshop. And they had lost their confidence. They thought that, yes, maybe that we are wrong. Why are we doing it? It may not be good for the people. Gradually, we started working, started getting the children who had become manual laborers, got them together to work together. And we started assembling what they already had. The old play which they used to do, which they were not doing, one by one, we started assembling, giving them life again, performing and testing them out in the audience in a village or villages, and seeing the power of it. Yes, my contribution to it was that I was really cleaning it. It was like when you dig out some from archaeological sites, you go to digging sites, you use a lot of brushes, you use a lot of material to get the object as much as possible intact with you. I was almost digging most of the time, then bringing them together, and I continued doing 4 or 5 pieces of this which they had done for generations, and we got the good performances out of that, and we started performing. But then I can't leave it at that. At the time, I said, no, we should do something new. Now, the new thing was, what should I do? I used to look at those actors, the remarkable actors, and one other actor, Ghulam Muhammad. I said, Ghulam Muhammad, I want you to give a role to you one day. He said, what role? I said, it's of a king. I said, I'll do it. But he didn't know what I was talking to him. And finally, Kashmiri bands, they do satire. They do humor. They never do tragedy. What I did with them, I said, we will try a tragedy, which they have never done. And I told them the story of King Lear, Shakespeare's King Lear, like a story of a king who had daughters, etc., etc., etc. And 1 year after that, I sent them a translation of it, and they read the translation. When they read the translation, they rejected the translation. It was done by many things. And they said, no, it's not a play, it's useless script. There's nothing in it. And I said, what is there? They phoned me, no, we have read it 3 times, sorry, we can't do it. So I said, okay, let me come. So I went and I read it again with them. They started laughing and giggling and making jokes. And they're fantastic at making jokes and puns, throwing puns at you. And I said, what do you mean? I said, They said, who speaks this Kashmiri? No one speaks it. It's so strange. Do you see? Do you speak like that? Do we speak like that? So I think, which they were articulating to me, look, this is not a text which is a theatrical text, which was, translation was done by a professor, and he did a literal translation. He could do a literal translation into performance translation. And that is when we started working on it, we translated ourselves with actors, then we started the whole improvisation process for 3 months, till we got the play out of it, again test it out, And with grace of God, we have traveled all over country with the play to the major festivals. And that is the role of today's theatre person, where he takes his tradition and makes it relevant to the today's audiences and makes it works both ways. Reviving the tradition, preserving the tradition, and revitalizing the tradition. So at that point, what is time? Yeah. Hello.
4:35, sir. 4:35.
Yeah. So any questions? Let's start with the question.
Yeah. Wow, sir. I mean,
to me, it is. I'm speaking, so I don't know where.
I'm totally the way. So you just swayed us, taking into the journey of going to different states from Kashmir to the south. And in fact, SPICMACAY has one of the modules. We have the theater as one of the modules. And I personally am very lucky to watch different the folk theaters, like you mentioned about Kudiyattam and the Yakshagana. And okay, before I start, I go further. For the viewers, if you have any question, there's a comment box on the YouTube channel. You can post your questions, and I'll feel honored to put up the questions to sir, and he shall answer. Okay, so my first question to you is, which is coming from my side, talking from the Natya Shastra to your NSD days in 1970s, and in the present scenario, what are the changes you see in the today's generation, like aaj ki yuva peedhi? Like our founder, Dr. Kiran Seth says, everything's like a 2-minute Maggie noodle now. They don't believe in rigorous riyaz or rehearsal. Everything they want, just at the click of the mouse, they want to be served in a platter. So what is your take on that? What do you have to say on that?
I think, this is a fantastic time we are doing it. We have been put into houses today, and we have all the time. I also experienced this myself. A lot of actors we want to work with you. I said, are you going to give me 5 years of yours? They want immediately do a play, immediately get into films. And nothing brews fast. I always tell them that, listen, child is born in mother's womb 9 months. It cannot happen in 3 months, even if she wants it. It's not possible. And I think you have to, India particularly, if you have to be in theatre, you have to understand there is a vast history of theatre. Not only of history of theatre, you have to understand history of music, history of dance. You have to understand traditional paintings and all sorts of material. Then you will see that how much time it will take you to make a play. You cannot get it in 1 month and 6 months the performance is done and is done. That is one thing. This instant thing, as I've seen some of this, I go myself to watch what these kids are doing. And I realize great energy, great determination to do it. But the point is, that's not possible. In fact, some of them come to me and I always tell them, you have to work with me at least 2-3 years. Then only you will get somewhere. Otherwise, I don't get anything. Why should I work with you? And
right.
Today, we are in tough times. I give an example to them. Can you do a concert of a tabla by working for 3 months, 4 months? Would you think you're confident enough to do it?
Yeah,
it's very important. You can't have backup tricks and gags with you and use them. I took 1 month of modern dance. I did that Shamik Dawa dance this time. I worked with M. Kirana first one, so I'm ready. It's not like that. In fact, Kapalaji used to say very beautifully, Kapila Vatsai, she used to tell us, learn one folk dance form completely. Then you will see how much energy you will get and how much contribution you will be able to give to your theatre.
Yes, sir. So next question is there an Indian adaptation of absurd theatre in traditional forms?
Which adaptation?
Is there an Indian adaptation of absurd theatre in traditional forms?
Yes, we've done it. I'm like waiting for Godot. We did it in Kashmir, and it was, you will not believe what happened. And in fact, one of the great poets there called Rahman Rai, who is highly awarded and decorated all over, he said this watching this production has taken my gut out of my body, because they saw, even both the plays, Lear as well as Godo, they both saw their own stories in it. Kashmir is waiting for Godo, and the Godo is not coming. And Lear, they saw the division of land. There is those days the story that Kashmir should be given distributed into three pieces. Ironically, it is there: Ladakh, Jammu, and Kashmir. And when I talked to I'd given what one of my senior most ustads of the form said. He said, "This story is about story of a country, about a village, about any family. If the head of the family goes mad, this tragedy has to happen."
Okay, sir. Next question is, how do you differentiate the notion of performing and acting, or acting? Can you hear me, sir? How do you differentiate the notion of performing or acting?
Notion of performing or acting?
And how do you differentiate?
For me.
Sorry, sir?
Notion of performance and notion of acting is the same thing. What the notion? You are a professional actor. You must be able to do, your body must tune like any musician's instrument. You are an instrument. And any challenge given to you is you have to perform. This notion of acting is for the privileged. It doesn't work for professional theatre. In a company, I'm being asked, okay, this is your cast for this role, and deliver. But it's performance. Yes, for performance, audience will change me a little bit. There is this give and take of the audiences, which happens in Indian theatre. You can feel it happens. Musicians respond to the, I'll tell you give a simple example. In Natya Shastra, about acting, they say four things. One is angik, which is with the body you act. Then is vachik, which is with the sound, which means dialogue, music, all kinds of sounds on the instrument, vachik. And then there's ahari. Ahari means the decoration part of it, your costume, scenic design, whatever. But fourth is satvik, which is invisible. You can't see. You achieve through these three stages to get to the sattvic stage, which is abstraction. Means it comes, you can't see it, does not have a physical form. It comes from the stage to the auditorium and goes back to the stage, and that is what is called the flower stage. It is, you have a flower with a fragrance. There are flowers which have no fragrance. That is sattvic, fragrance of the acting, which comes when you are trained in all these three areas, and when the fourth comes, fourth is also your intellectual inputs, your own knowledge, your own understanding of the society, your own understanding of every word. You give new interpretation to words. You reach a flower stage by giving interpretation. That's my notion.
Okay, sir. So next question is, how is it like to be a freelance actor? What creative freedom you enjoy that others might not?
I choose what I want to do. Freelancers can choose, but sometimes there's very little choice to choose also. And me, I'm a very typical freelancer. I have been doing films, I've been doing theatre, I've been teaching, I've been writing, I've been all kinds of things. So I choose what I want to do. It depends on an individual to individual actor, how he wants to shape his career, shape his profession for himself.
All right, sir. So next question is, there are several forms of theatre still untapped in India. The popular forms of theatre always remained in the form of comedies, tragedies, and drama in India. Do you think Indian society is not ready to accept at least alternate forms of theatre like the gibberish plays, nude, or the fringe theatre?
Well, this is a very urban question.
Yeah.
gibberish, or whatever he's not ready for those. This is the problem of the urban. In rural area and in the Kasbah theatres, they accept everything. In fact, they improvise sometimes gibberish themselves also. In fact, Kashmir has a one play which is many pieces are gibberish. I mean, there's a song they sing. I can't even make meaning of it. Asa piya pani pipa jani mera. Jani mera pani pipa jani mera. Just improvised song.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
So it's not that it is that it is not happening at a bigger scale. These isolated ideas, isolated way does not work. As I said, you have to regularly work in theatre, and then you think of whether it is accepted or not accepted. If a Kashmiri King Lear could be accepted in Tamil Nadu, I don't see why we say that it can't be accepted. Yes, if it's not good, it will not be accepted. If it's not innovative, it's not really exciting to watch it. You see, you should understand, play is a performance. The play and the performance is, and you have to play it. It's like you see, for example, a football player. He goes after all training match. He goes into the field, and that time coach doesn't tell him how to play, but he does all kinds of improvisations and he scores. And you see him using all kinds of his training what he has used. I think that is very important. That our theatre, understand, it is an exciting play, exciting experience, other than and different from what they see in cinema and they see on television. It should not be a television experience. It should not be a film experience. Theatre has its own language. Theatre has its own depth and understanding, and it is very different. So you have to innovate more theatre in theatre.
Yes, sir. Okay, sir.
Gibberish, you use anything that can be done.
All right, sir. So next question is, there's not much of awareness still among parents and theatre seen only as a medium for doing plays. Any thoughts on that?
In urban areas, again, I mean, it's a new thing in India in the sense now. See, definition of theatre has now widened. It's not the same anymore that you go in the evening, watch a performance. Theatre used for treatments now. Theatre used in the prisons now. Theatre is being used in the psychotherapic patients also. So the definition, walls of theatre have been pushed open, and it has got many new specializations where it can be used. And for that, it depends on, you say, there's a dance theatre, there's a movement theatre, there's a music theatre. All these youngsters are doing all these things here. In fact, some of them are doing movement theatre. I've seen some very good performances. But I think what is very important is that you continue doing that. You continue, putting your efforts till you explore it yourself, and then it gets. Like I know a friend of mine called Asta Devu, is a very well-known modern dancer. And we have been friends for 40 years. And that time nobody talked to him. He was just, what is he doing? Now today he is one of the great masters of modern Indian dance. But he had also to change quite a bit. He had a lot of things to leave and get to the grassroots of India and then develop it into his own kind of performance.
Okay, sir. So another question: what is the future of Nautanki? In
these forms, it's unfortunately there's not much happening there. We did it. You see, the whole point is if there is no support systems, theatre does not have supporters today who will invest in it or who will like to fund it.
I agree to that, sir. Yes, sir.
In 80s, fantastic work was done by contemporary directors in Nautanki. A friend of mine called Bansi Kaul, he did Gogol's Inspector General, which was a super success. But after that, it was not possible. Come do it. You will now do it. But I think the people who have to, as I said again, who have to use Nautanki, have to give it. You see, you can't create an old piece in the modern in India. It has to have something of today also. And I see the actors today in Nautanki who are playing Nautanki are not as skilled as Nautanki players I have watched of Gulabai or of Giriraj. They were great masters. Giriraj will start singing at the third octave. That was his Mandar Sapta. Can you beat it? Where do you find singers like that? So I think what is important is preservation, documentation, training, revitalization, and then reinterpretation of each form. And that applies to Nautanki also.
All right, sir. So my next question is, we just have about 5 more minutes, so 2 to 3 questions more, sir.
Yeah.
So the next is, as you say in folk theatre across India, improvisation on the part of the actor is very important for the success of that performance. Then how important is the director's training of the actors?
To sit in the brain of the actor. It, because you see, we are handling human material, human beings. And if I don't understand each human being who is with me for months, and then what he's thinking, and to bring him to the where I am, and then giving him all your interpretation, giving him all your lines, and what your choreography is and what you want you, then you leave him free. Keep him in the ambience of your vision, and in that vision, he starts improvising, and he feels free to improvise. And also, it is a collaborative method. It's not a master teacher. Actor is in collaboration with the director. Director is in collaboration with the actor. We work together. We really contest. We fight. No, not this. Let's try this way. Then actor has to be like that. Okay, let's try this way. Let's try. And then you reach to a conclusion. Kind of a position. Yeah, this is what we want. It is a process. It's like stage is basically like a lab when you work.
Yes, sir.
In theatre, in rehearsals.
Ji, sir. So next question is, sir, you are one of the most popular and renowned NSD's graduate and have immense experience in theatre. So how was your experience working in commercial cinema such as in Aisha? We loved you in Aisha, sir.
No. Okay. Guys who have asked the question, please ask them to see a web series called Forgotten Army. I've acted a very major. It is very easy. If I say once your instrument is trained, you know how to tighten your strings, how to loosen your strings, how to tune your instruments for a certain rag, which is that character, which is that script. It's very easy. It's not difficult. I have never felt from the 70s when I did my first film, 27 Down, I never felt like that I'm in a cinema or something. You have to be intelligent enough to understand what director wants. They give you instructions. Look, this is this lens. This lens will work like this, and this learning. Oh, I'm this much is your space on the tight face. So you have to work in face. You don't have to work the body.
All right, sir. So 2 more questions I have. In fact, I have few, but I'll just take 2 more. So does the actor in the name of improvisation give a newer and newer performance each day from the original training he or she received, and in the process discover more of his inner self?
Can you repeat this question?
Does the actor in the name of improvisation give a newer and newer performance each day from the original training he or she received, and in the process discover more of his inner self? Did you get, sir?
Absolutely. What is this statement is absolutely correct. And I will only add one thing, that from performance to performance, this actor discovers more and more things. What he must have done 1 month before, and as it 2 months afterwards, it will be a different performance. He discovers all the time. Yeah, that's it. Hello?
All right, sir. So I've been told, yes, sir. Yes, I can hear you. I've been told is that we have about 8 more minutes, so I can ask you 2 or 3 questions more. And so next question is, how should you start? How did you start your journey into the world of theatre? I mean, at what age? I think this is a very common question everybody likes to know.
I started, my first performance was when I was in class 5. It was a very major production done in Kashmir. Kashmir had a tradition of Jashn-e-Kashmir, which used to be Festival of Kashmir, where schools used to be involved, colleges used to be involved, theatre groups used to be involved. And I was fortunate enough to have a principal of my college, one of the legendary poets of Kashmir, Dinanath Nadir. He used to write operas for us, and we used to act in them. And I started from there, and then I graduated in the sense that whenever they needed a child actor in the Srinagar city, I would be asked to act in it. And then to college and amateur theatre, and I did a lot of amateur theatre in the small city of Srinagar. Then my state itself gave me a scholarship to National School of Drama. So I came on Jammu Kashmir scholarship to National School of Drama, and then got here. And after that, I decided on my own that I don't want to take up any job. I think it is not for me. I cannot do jobs. So I decided to be freelancer. And I remember when I did my final examination, Viva at NSD, there was this one examiner was the Secretary of Culture, and she had seen my answer book papers. And she was offering me a scholarship to Paris, right, for Constable, which was a fantastic. And me, being what I was, I said, no, thank you, I don't want to go. And they looked at me, what? You don't want to go? I said, no, I have not seen even Ajanta, Ellora. What will I do there? I have just come from Kashmir and I'm here. I want to know my nation first. And then when I go, I want to be really with the knowledge of my own country, and that I give and I take from them. Otherwise, I'll be only receiving. I got a big rap from Al-Qazi. He took me out in his office and yelled at me. What, you're arrogant, you're this or that. But yes.
I don't believe it, sir.
I went correct.
With a charming smile, I'm sure you must be, Anyway, sir, the next question is from the founder. In fact, I didn't call out the names who have been asking the questions. This is from a founder, Dr. Kiran Seth. He's asked you, what are some of the best plays you have seen?
Where, in India or abroad?
I think it's all over, because he's not mentioned if it's India or abroad. It's a general question. You're the best place. I think from all over the world, right?
In traditional theatre, I still love a performance of Ravana in Kathakali, when for half an hour only his eyes act. I was crying when I saw him doing that.
Wow.
And what he do? His Lanka is burning. And he can't believe this monkey can do this to me. And think of the, think of the emotions and sub-emotions, subtle emotions. For half an hour, this man is only acting with eyes. And I was lucky because I was in front. I could see what he was doing. And I had a friend who was translating, tell you what is happening. Then I remember another performance which I saw of the No, Japanese No. What a body, what a body. It is the slowest form in the world. If they have to pick up this pencil from here, and it is a journey of lifetime for them to do it, and the control of the body. Then, in the contemporary theatre I have seen was performance done in Nana's of Look Back in Anger, in which Surekha Sikri, Manhor Singh and Uttara Bhakar were all acting. It was a very fashionable. Then in the traditional experiment when was done, was Jasma Orden and Ghasiram Kotwal, two plays with where you say, wow, India has a great thriving tradition. We can do this. And I was involved in Jasma myself and Ghasiram when I saw it in Pune. Then I remember when my jaw fell. When I was a student, I watched Shambhu Mitra, the great actor of Bengal, and he was doing Oedipus Rex. In honesty, Western drama was distant to me. Okay, it is some kind of, they do this kind of this. It was a strange drama to me. But this man, I went to see him. I could believe it came so close to me. That is what the actor does. The experience, which may be ancient experience, he brings it into front today, and you watch. I couldn't believe it. He was super in that performance. I still remember that performance. And his body, how he danced with the body when he becomes blind. He was a dancer that time, absolute dancer. And how he came crawling in when he has, blinded his eyes, and how he walked. Oh, remark! Every movement of his body, every gesture of his body, must have worked months to do that.
So your first choice is Kathakali, and next international convention, we make sure that you come for and take the workshop. And Kathakali is one of the forms we have in a convention, and it's just super. I can just imagine the journey you shared with Kathakali. And so now we have we have about few minutes more. So we have very two young dynamic volunteers, student volunteers, Hemant and Divyanshu here, who've been coordinating with me, and they've been sending me questions since an hour, and they've been coordinating all the technical part and all. So would you like to, Hemant and Divyanshu, can you hear me? Okay,
Yes,
so
ma'am.
would you like to ask something, maybe a quick one-liner? We just have about 5 minutes to go.
Yeah. 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 So, what did he say? Uh, you see, as I said, the theatre has pushed its boundaries. Everybody today wants to use theatre for its own purpose. And what you talked of the IPT, Indian People Theatre Movement, or whether you talk of Jannati Mancha. In fact, I started my career as a street theatre director. For just street theatre. So there was a very, very dear friend of mine. So we had always um, give and take when we were talking about possibilities of it. Yes, it is being done, but I don't. West does it. And Bread and Puppet Theatre did it. San Francisco Mime Theatre Group did it. They do it. We are not doing it. My biggest grouse is that why are you lazy? Why are not you exploring the street like this? So much street theatre is happening everywhere. You go to Paharganj, it's a theatre. You go to Nehru Place, keep watching it. The whole theatre is happening all there. And that language you bring in. You don't see this black kurtas and white kurtas and pajamas, and then that's the cost of a theatre can be done like that. It reduces it to, pardon my saying, I hate to say, it pains me to say, it looks like a soap opera of the poor. And you are not doing soap opera. You are doing complex themes of theatre. For example, let's give an example of it. I still remember bread and puppet theater on Vietnam. Hardly any words. A parade. Huge puppet of an aircraft. And underneath, uh, women with the masks and the little puppet of an infant in their laps, walking ceremoniously, quietly. And what is written there? My baby was napalmed in Vietnam. It used to give you chills to see those images. You see, images must be created. Street theater is a brisk, it is high energy program. And I think street theater, out to them, they are my friends. They know what I talk about. I always talk to them that it can't be a lazy job. You have to spend a lot of time on it. You have your lines and now get on. You go right, you go left, you go, move into circle only. It has not explored its language in India.
Okay, Divyanshu, would you like to ask something? Just a quick one-liner.
Yes, ma'am. Hello, sir.
Okay.
It's been nice listening to you. I would like to ask if you would like to share a message from the world of theater to our viewers in this period of lockdown.